Okay, so welcome to the Beat Cancer Answer weekly call, and tonight we have a panelist of holistic coaches, and just a disclaimer, everything we say is not medical advice, but it's good advice. So hopefully you'll take some of it to heart and be able to start your journey in cancer healing. Our topic this month is on breast cancer for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we'll be a little bit specific to that, but not so specific that we can't address cancer in general. And we're waiting on one last panelist and going through some technical issues as we get started, but we'll get started very, very soon. I'll give Jeanette another minute, and if she's not here, we'll just get started, and then I'll put everybody into the panel. In fact, I'll just do that right now. You should get a little note, Eli. 1 second. And now you, Leslie, will get a little note. And Natalie will get a note. It'll pop up on your screen any second. And of course, all these little leaps I'll edit out.
They're not perfect.
I'm so excited to see you, Leslie. It's been such a long time.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's been. I know we chat back and forth sometimes, but it's been a really long time since we had a good conversation. So excited to be here.
I've gotten grayer, and you look exactly the same. Why is that? You too, Natalie. Oh my goodness, you look even younger. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just get started. So what I'd like you to do in order, we're going to go Eli, Leslie, Natalie in that order. Just introduce yourself in a little bit and how you wanted to become a cancer coach or why, and yeah, we'll start from there.
Great, thank you. Well, first, thank you so much for organizing this. I love just knowing that we're part of getting the word out and letting people know that there is hope out there and that there are millions of cancer survivors in the world and that it's very possible. You know, hope and resilience are very attainable. So my name is Eli Hans. I'm a cancer thriver. I was diagnosed 8 years ago around this time with a pretty scary diagnosis. I had about a 10% chance of survival. So as you can imagine, it was a very shocking and challenging time. And I made a miraculous recovery through putting a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight into practice. And I've been cancer-free for the past 7 years. So I started guiding other people through their cancer journeys pretty soon after I felt strong enough, just because people would call me and ask me, what did you do? So after a few years of doing that, I finally became certified through BeatCancer as a holistic cancer coach so that I could do this professionally. That was about 3 years ago. So it's been very fulfilling in knowing that I can play some kind of a role in helping people get through the most challenging part of their life. I live in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico, central Mexico. It was recently named the #1 city in the world for like the 7th time in the last 10 years. It's a beautiful place. And aside from my cancer coaching business, I also have another adjunct business called San Miguel Retreats, where we design custom healing retreats for cancer patients and other people with chronic illness, and also offer vacation rentals. And the last thing I want to share is the last year and a half was very exciting. I developed and performed in an award-winning show about my cancer healing journey. I wrote a mostly one-person show, one-man musical of all things, called Out of the Blue, a miraculous musical about my healing journey. And so I'm using it as a platform to be able to inspire people through hope and resilience, and developing workshops off of the show to go deeper into some of the universal themes about healing, hope, and resilience. So that's me.
I want to quick add to that. The music is beautiful. The musical is beautiful. You're multi-talented, excellent singer, dancer, and I laughed and I cried, and it's a great, great musical. There's many things for many different people to identify with in that.
Thank you, Carl. One of the things I really try to encourage my clients to do is to connect to something they're passionate about and just dive into it. Let their hearts totally get into what they love to do. And so I decided it was time for me to do the same thing. And writing this musical came from my soul. It came from my heart. And it was so exciting every moment of that year and a half. We presented it in March, and then we went to Hollywood to do a theater festival, and we won awards. So now it's like, now what's going to happen? So we're trying to figure out what the next step is for it, but it's super exciting. So thank you for your support.
Leslie?
You're muted, Carl.
I said thank you, Eli.
Sure.
I love it. I love what Eli just said about helping people heal through. It's multifaceted, right? There's just not one way to heal, and I think we just get. I'm sorry, I digress, and I'll introduce myself, I promise. But I just want to add to that because we think about, what are the things that create healing in our lives? How can we help our clients? How can we help people connect to that? And Eli did such an amazing job of introducing the arts to that, right? Because you see people like painting and writing and journaling and sharing, and this is just something I've never experienced in that way, and it's just beautiful. So, and if you want to do a number tonight, I think we'd all be really happy. So, okay, so my name is Leslie Nance. I live in Fort Worth, Texas. Nowhere as glamorous as Eli does, but I live in Arlington, Texas. It's near Cowboy Stadium, so I should get some points for that. But anyway, I do live there. I am a 10-year cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2012 at the age of 42, and wow, just massive journey, massive opportunity to expand into my purpose and to understand what I was put here to do, and that's help women through their cancer journey. And so it's been just an extraordinary 7 years of my life of helping women journey through this and understanding how to help them best and to take them on this tremendous healing pathway. And so I do only work with women. I am specific to that because I understand women's healing mechanisms. And in fact, when I get a man that's interested, I send them to Eli. So, yeah. So
I appreciate that.
So, and I love his work, so I just feel so confident about sending people to him or sending these men that need his help that way. So, but for me, my business name is Any Stage Cancer, and it's a play off of any stage, of cancer, any type of cancer, any stage of treatment, any stage of mindset, any stage of nutrition. I don't care if you're a 3 times a day McDonald's girl or if you're a vegan. It doesn't matter to me. You come to me in any condition, and we're going to figure out what moves you towards healing and away from cancer. And so, and I mean, lucky for me, cancer showed up on my doorstep and illuminated that pathway for me. So I'm super passionate about what I do, and, the Beat Cancer program helped me consolidate, everything I wanted to teach. And Dr. Silverstein showed me a path and showed me who I wanted to. And so Dr. Silverstein really just helped me through the process of illuminating what I wanted to become in this journey. So went on to get many certifications after my journey with Beat Cancer, and and it's been amazing. And I wouldn't take a second of it back, even the hard parts. The hard parts of being a cancer coach, I wouldn't take back. So yes. So thank you for asking me to be here tonight. I'm very honored and really excited to be in the room with other coaches and just kind of feel that energy and connect to that energy as well. So yeah.
Sorry for breaking your flow there for a second.
Okay.
I have Jeanette. She's getting in touch now. To say that Leslie's cancer coach rock star would be an understatement. Unbelievable. She's like 0 to hero, and not to say if you're ever a zero, but you went from not knowing much about cancer coaching at all to just being an excellent coach and revered amongst many.
Thank you. It's all out of like total passion. It's everything I do is from the deepest part, most passionate part of my heart. So yes, it's quite a joy. And you guys gave me the platform to take off on, right? I just springboarded off of that, and so.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all you do. Yeah. Okay, Natalie.
Yes. Well, my story also very similar to many of you. I had cancer. I had breast cancer. It has been 13 years. And I originally not really on this health care path. I was a software engineer. I was working hard in that industry, and I know that part of my work, part of my lifestyle is causing cancer. And after I was in remission, I realized that I have to change my career and really do what I love to do. So everybody's hearing me very well? I don't see Carl. So, okay.
Yes, we are hearing you.
Well, I left my job 4 years ago. I just completely dropped my IT job, which it's really good job. I was an IT manager, and I realized that what I know a lot of information, and I'm originally from Thailand, and I see people in Thailand getting more and more. They have more cancer rate higher than ever forever. And I realized that my knowledge probably could be useful for those Thai people in Thailand. And that's how I started. So I started learning how to be a health coach. And then I found BeatCancer.Org. And then I took the Beat Cancer training. Then I took functional medicine health coach. I have been taking like any courses that can help people recover from the illness. So, and I realized that this is really me because I enjoy it a lot. I don't want to say it's fun. It's not that fun to work with cancer patients, but it's fun in the sense that I really enjoy coaching people because I feel like what they need is knowledge. What people are missing, they don't even know that there are alternative cancer treatments. They don't even know that there are herbs that can help them heal. They don't even know that actually their emotion and the stress is actually causing them cancer. What they know is once they're diagnosed with cancer, they got the death sentence. And they have to do surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, and also hormone therapy. That's all they know. And they know that a chance to survive is very low. So when I came in, I started telling them, showing them, okay, I had breast cancer. Even though I had chemotherapy, but I knew how it was. I knew that all that symptoms that they have during the chemotherapy. So how, if I choose, if I knew how I know now, I would not do that. And in fact, the second time when I had tumor reoccurred again, I did not do any chemotherapy. I was able to shrink the tumor by myself. So, and I realized that that's a lot of information. I was following any kind of platforms, any therapies, and I focused on Gerson therapy. And how I started by studying Gerson therapy. I started all therapies all over the world, from the Truth About Cancer, from BeatCancer, from the training, the Truly Heal from Australia. And I realized, oh my God, and I found that people can heal naturally. And then I started my online class. I started taking clients, and I have group coaching. In Thailand, I have 7,000 people contacted me in 4 years. That's a lot. Yeah. In 4 years, more than 7,000 people contacted me.
Wow.
Yes. There is no cancer coach online in Thailand. So I was the first one. I'm the first Thai cancer coach from BeatCancer.Org. So that is really my passion. And this is where I am now. I think the most important part is the knowledge. And then from knowledge that they start receiving from, look, there are alternatives. It's not a death sentence. And it's not only one package. It's not only one way to do I'm talking about conventional treatment, right? When I open up their mind and show them there's a lot of therapies, there's a lot of they can do, they start to believe. And when people healed, I start interviewing my testimonies, and then it just spread. It's just like a ripple effect now. When people say, oh, that lady, she's healed from breast cancer, I can do it too. And then more people getting healed naturally. And it's not just breast cancer I work with. I thought I was going to start with just breast cancer, but ended up all type of cancer, because it ended up it's the same. Cancer is cancer. And the group is just growing bigger and bigger.
Wow. Thank you so much, Natalie, and each of our panelists. I want to thank you for participating in each of this, in introducing yourselves. My name is Catherine Jansen, and I'm a certified cancer coach and a registered nurse. And I, too, believe that we need to educate so the patient can advocate for their care, and also that knowledge is power. And I think these are clear foundations in coaching for all of us. So I'm going to be asking you a series of 4 questions, and we'll start with Eli and go Eli, then to Leslie, to Natalie. So the first question that I'm asking you is, what do you see as the core benefits of having a cancer coach? And how has that impacted your practice?
Yes,
Yes,
Carl.
Carl.
One second. I'm sorry. I think Jeanette joined us. Are you here, Jeanette? Under
Yes, I am.
the 562 number. Is that you? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Before we get started, I'm gonna add you to the panelist, and then it's your turn now. I'm not sure how you can confirm it. I just changed your role. We just introduced ourselves and a little bit of how we became a cancer coach, and a little bit about your passion, and that's where we're at. So you're the 4th person. You're the final panelist.
Great.
And just in time, actually.
Thank you for joining us, Jeanette.
Thank you for having me. So many years ago, I was a caregiver to my grandparents, and I found that all I wanted to do was help, but sometimes helping or over-helping and believing that I knew better than them just turned out to be very toxic. And I leaned on many coaches and many organizations, and I very quickly found out that the only way to truly help someone is to help them get their power back, for them to take one step, one choice at a time on their timeline, in alignment with their highest power, in order to step into full health. And as I worked, my phone was ringing off the hook of people just wanting to gain support. And it was never support just for me. It was support in their own ability to see clearly, to have hope, and to allow the light in. And along that way, I ended up working with HR companies and executives of some, very beautiful women running businesses where their cancer diagnosis was either kept hush-hush under wraps from their shareholders and their colleagues. And I started working with executives, and along the way I helped them in healing their businesses. And almost just about every single one of my clients told me, Janetta, was my business and the way that I was running my world and my life that was ultimately killing me. Thank you for helping me slow down and see the light. So that's how I got here, and I'm very happy to support you all and helping anybody just reconnect with light.
Yes, Jeanette, if I'm not mistaken, I kind of remember you worked at one time a business that had kind of a toxic environment to do with fire or mold or something like that.
Yeah, when I took care of my grandmother and my parents, it was a toxic work environment, literally, that contributed to me becoming a caregiver for them. My grandmother has passed on, and my parents are great.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And one last thing about Natalie. She was voted the most popular cancer coach in Thailand.
Thank you, Natalie, for shining your light.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kathy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop you and interrupt you. I just knew that Jeanette was coming on, and I thought that was her. I wanted to make sure you got the introduction done.
And we're delighted to have our fourth panelist. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jeanette. So the question again is posed is, what do you see as the core benefits of having a cancer coach? And how did this impact your practice? Eli.
Thank you so much for that question. Well, I think it's pretty evident for anyone that is watching this now or in the future that all of the coaches here are absolutely heart-centered, and they have, if they've experienced cancer in the past, it was a transformative experience that changed their life in so many different ways. In my own experience, I feel like cancer came in, although I wouldn't want to wish it upon anyone, it kind of kicked my butt into the right path, the path where I am supposed to be on. And there's so many benefits to having a cancer coach. I'm going to narrow it down, I think, to two, because we could sit here and talk all night long about this, and I'm sure everybody will. There's so many, but in my own experience going through cancer, all of a sudden we're thrust into this world that is totally foreign with weird lexicon, weird jargon that sounds so medical and scary. And if we are in a clinical setting, and some of us do choose to go through some of the standard of care, all of a sudden we're surrounded by machines and cold metal things, and it's just scary. We're thrown into this whole other world. And having a cancer coach brings humanity to the experience. I don't think there's anything more human than anyone can do than to be 100% committed to, someone with cancer and helping them through this challenging time. So you have a human being who truly cares about helping you succeed like no one ever has, and listening to you and helping you, kind of identifying the truth behind the words you're saying and helping you choose the path. And there's nothing more human and more beautiful than that. So I think when I went through my cancer journey, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a cancer coach. I had to figure everything out by myself. And if there's some way that as cancer coaches we can make this road easier for people, having them avoid some of the pitfalls and just getting really clear about their healing path for them, that's what it's all about. And there's no amount of money anybody can put on that benefit. So that is just absolutely beautiful. The second one is related because, and in my case, I'll speak for myself, I've already been through this experience, and some of the other coaches that have had cancer before, we know what it's like. So it's almost like I see ourselves, our role as a Sherpa, a guide, an expert guide, helping you climb the Mount Everest of your healing journey. And we can help our clients avoid the pitfalls, save time and precious time and money, and helping them at their own pace reach the pinnacle of their healing or wherever they might be heading with this experience, as loving, caring guides that can help light the way and just hold their hand along this process. So I think it's an invaluable thing, and I wish I had had a cancer coach, and so I remember that, and I try to be the best human I can be when I'm working with someone.
Wow, how powerful is that? Thank you, Eli. Leslie.
So I love this question because, like Eli, I could give you like a million reasons why it's important, but but I'll stick with just a couple here. You know, in my own personal journey, I needed somebody to guide me and to hold me up on the days that I couldn't stand for myself, and not literally, but emotionally and mentally. I needed somebody to tell me that I was going to be okay. You know, look, you're going to be okay. You just listen. You know, what's the truth here? And so I needed somebody to help me reframe those thoughts and to keep me out of these massive spirals that I would be like, you know, okay, I totally got this, and 2 hours later I'm in a puddle on the bathroom floor crying and literally like I'm dying, right? And so I became the woman that I needed in my own journey. I channeled that energy, and I looked for, you know, I went through my own journey with a fine-tooth comb and said, where were the places that you just know that were like the deepest, darkest places, and where were the places that you could exchange energy with the good thoughts that were coming, but you weren't allowing yourself those good thoughts because you have cancer, and you're not allowed to have good thoughts when you have cancer, or be hopeful, or to think about the future, or, you know, any of that. And so, so that's one thing. I became the woman that I needed so desperately. So having me, and I know the other guys, I know that this is true for, because we're trained this way, you know, you have to have certain qualities to do, you know, what we do as coaches. And so I know I speak for a lot of you when I say that, you know, you took your own examples and threaded those through the work that you do, and then you put expertise behind it. You got your certification, and you learned how to teach it back out, and you know, so you went through that process to love and support people through this. And I tell every single one of my clients, I cannot heal you. I wish I could. If I could, I'd be on the cover of Time magazine, and you'd never get to speak to me. You know, so I can't heal you, but what I can promise you is that I can promise you to put you on a path where you can discover what healing looks like for you. And so, you know, that's very powerful. And as soon as you have that spark of hope, and somebody believes in you, and somebody's giving you assets, and somebody's giving you tools, and you're feeling better, and then you're with other women who are experiencing the same thing, that momentum is not like, oh, this is going okay. It's like this big ball of momentum, like a snowball rolling down the hill. And so for me, it's about, for what I do specifically, it's about community. It's about having me there to love you and serve you through this process. It is about having access to somebody that you know that is going to stand up for you and to pick you up when you need to be picked up, and to celebrate with you when it's time to celebrate, and not to beat around the bush about it, not help you fake it till you make it, but truly engage with changing lifestyle and thought processes to help you walk towards healing and away from cancer. So to me, I can't help every woman that comes through my door. Not everyone's a fit. And so, but for me, the women that I can help, and the women that say yes to that help, there's not a one of them, and I've helped a lot of women through this process over the past 7 years, and there's not a one of them, I believe, that would say that wasn't the most valuable thing that I've done throughout the entire process of healing. It's routine for women to celebrate being cancer-free. in my group, you know, and I tell women this and they're like, oh yeah, sure. I'm like, just hang out, you'll see, you know, and so they come in and they're like, I had a scan today. You're not going to believe this. And we're all like, we believe it, you know, because we're training our brain in that belief system. We're stacking that evidence. And so to me, that's like one of the most valuable assets that you can have, is to have a community and somebody to guide you and support you through that. And a cancer coach, the right cancer coach for you, can lead you in that direction and take you to places that you don't even dare to dream of yourself, you know, and expose the truth about what cancer has come to you for and help you get into that purpose as well. So yes.
Wow. Thank you so much. I love the fact that you picked up on that momentum for the client, because I really feel my experience is very similar to yours, and when they're so down and then initially getting them engaged, and how it's amazing how many just fly in the end.
Yeah, and don't realize that they're even capable of that. And then they're like, and maybe sometimes for some women, it's the first time in their life that they've ever even dared to fly, you know, because they've been challenged in a way that is so powerful. And cancer is like the ultimate challenge for that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Natalie.
Okay. For myself, why they need a cancer coach? I want you to think about when you are in a boat and you fell off the boat, you are sinking. You don't know how to swim, or you know how to swim, but you cannot really help yourself to get up on the boat again. You need someone to really pull your hand up, because you cannot really help yourself. If you are strong enough, you maybe help yourself and swimming against the current or the wave, and you can get up on the boat again. But in the case that you really don't have enough strength to really get up on the boat again, so the person who help you and pull your hand out of the water, that is the health coach, the cancer coach. So that's how I see it. And being a cancer coach not only pull you out of the water, it's also really show there is a hope. Because what is people missing when first time people lose their hope? Hope, I think, is number one, that they need to build that up. And then once they have hope, I will have to show them, any cancer coach will show them, okay, look, there's a lot of people who are healed, and you could be one of them. By how? ABC, there are steps. One is the knowledge. Once they see, we open up their eyes, show them all the therapies that could be possible, and then show them people how they are healed, and they get the inspiration. Once they get inspiration, the coach will actually push them with some motivation, because some people just lost hope and they're not strong enough to really keep going, either conventional treatment or natural treatments. They just don't have enough motivation, because all the media is telling them one thing. All the media is telling them they have to do this and that to follow the doctors. It's only the standard therapy. And they see that. I think clients, cancer patients, they just see it. Because the media is telling them, show them the percentage of how people are healed conventionally. They see that, they got scared. So cancer coach not only give them knowledge, give them inspiration, motivation, and also love. Because most of the cancer patients, what I found and experienced after interviewing them many thousand people, they're missing love. They don't know where to get love from, either love themselves or being loved. So once they come to cancer coach, and I believe our cancer coach, also they can sense the love, the care from cancer coach, and they just feel like something missing in their life. They never feel like being loved before, and that once they start being loved, they see themselves. They start loving themselves again. They start having motivation and inspiration. And then cancer coach just push them, advise them. When I say push, mean discipline, because in order to actually heal to the end, they need to be disciplined. Oftentimes people would just like give up halfway. That what I have seen. So when they have cancer coach, I just push them. No, you gotta keep going. You're not walking alone. You have someone walking with you until the end, until you get up and being on the boat again. And that's how I see why cancer coach is important.
Wow, very, very powerful, very powerful, Natalie. Because I actually really appreciate what you said about they're not alone. They're not walking this journey alone. And I know one of my biggest struggles myself was learning to love myself again and putting, despite all the changes, finding who I am and rediscovering a new me. And
exactly.
Yeah, and it really is so powerful when we can. I love your analogy of the boat, because you're right. People are they're reaching out, and it is such a treasure and a pleasure to be able to work with people and to make a difference. And I will go now to Jeanette. Jeanette, right?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's so beautiful, the different types of cancer coaches and the different levels of expertise and personal experience and their practices. And thank you so much for bringing us all together. I think it's so beautiful for so many different perspectives. And I'm saying that because my perspective is a little bit different. And just because it's different doesn't mean it's better. It doesn't mean it's worse. It's just different. And so I want to share that first with humility and an open heart, that I am not a guide. I have never gone through cancer, and it was very transparent when I was taking care of 3 elders in my home. I did not know the journey myself. I did not know what their next steps should be, but what I did know is how to help them take one step into feeling empowered, feeling in control, and they told me what they wanted, and all I did was assist. I stood by, helped them hold confidence, be a cheerleader, sometimes a sassy cheerleader, sometimes a tough love cheerleader. But I think that is why a lot of people do come to me, because I do not push, I do not pull, I do not guide them, I do not advise, I don't do any of that. I allow them to come to terms of what they would like. My favorite question is, what's your wish you would want to come true, and are you ready to find your own formula to make it happen so that you can grant the wish for yourself? It's not from me. It is never from me. But I am there to be a sounding board, light, open up, just like Natalie said, hope, because it is the most amazing thing, and conviction. Conviction is what I help them connect with. Most of my clients, they are, visionaries, high-powered executives, entrepreneurs, and they've done research. They're used to being disciplined. They eat amazing, healthy lifestyles. They've always been into alternative medicine, and what they needed is just someone to stand by them and to remind them of the light, not to tell them what to do. That's just a little bit of my perspective. So if the question is the core, what is the core and the reason of having a cancer coach? It is for whatever the person is desiring to have more of. Sometimes it is a guide. Sometimes it is helping them with discipline. Sometimes it is, creating community. And sometimes it's just someone standing by their side, not telling them what to do, but helping them connect to their own level of self-trust once again.
I need to break in for just a second. Eli and Natalie, if you can turn off your mics just the tiniest bit. I don't know if that's possible for you. Or We can hear you, but it's just a little bit low compared to the other people.
Oh, you mean turn them up, you mean?
Yeah, that's better if you hold a baby.
Got him. Okay, great. Thanks.
Or just leaning closer to it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. That was all of you answered the question beautifully. But the second question I have, I felt was something that inspired me, and that is when I was working with people, because I really love neuroimmunology and of course the psychosocial aspects of cancer and in that mindset. So I ask you in the second question, what adoptive recommendations do you provide when you're a coach in relation to stress management and in relation to the psychosocial aspects of mindset? How is that impacting your practice as well? Eli, we'll start with you.
Again with me?
Again.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned the mindset, because I think that is truly fundamental in any process, really. I mean, really, so many of us have unconscious thoughts that we don't examine, and we don't really know what's going on under the surface. So I, in my own life, have been working very, very hard at really learning about different techniques to understand and be able to kind of get a hold of those thoughts that are kind of running under the radar and grab them by the tail and examining to see, hey, is this really true, first of all? Because I find, especially with cancer, a lot of the angst and the worry, the fear and the stress and the depression comes from imagining the worst case scenario. And we're not really even aware of what it is. We look at the statistics, like somebody else mentioned, and we're terrified about what we read, so we imagine that the worst is going to happen. So I have different tools in my toolbox to help clients identify how true is this thought that you're having. It's part of the work by Byron Katie. It's called The Work, and anybody can go to thework.com and kind of understand what the process is, a series of questions to really understand, is it true what we're thinking? And when we realize that a lot of our angst and those tough emotions to deal with are stemming from thoughts, and that we are free to release that thought, because at this very moment I'm okay. So what's stressing me out is an imagined scenario. And then I find evidence that I am okay and what is actually true. So that's one of the techniques that we use. Something else that I've learned that works really well, you may have heard of it, is called EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique. Some people call it tapping, where we just kind of explore, again, the belief system. And it's a beautiful way of, you start the process and you name what number from 1 to 10 you're feeling that emotion, that stressor. And after you do the process, you take a look at it again and you go, oh, I was a 9 and now I'm a 4. So what just happened? So, and this is something that anyone can do at any time in their home, or even standing in line at a grocery store. So there's different tools that we're able to bring to remind ourselves and our clients that mindset is such a crucial aspect of healing, and how to turn unproductive thoughts into productive thoughts and neutralizing the unproductive ones. So we spend a lot of time with mindset. I have found that emotions follow thoughts, and so we need to kind of really examine what that is. And if it goes beyond my scope of what I can do, I do refer them out to mental health experts that can help them to go deeper. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an oncologist. I'm just a guy who's received all kinds of different training, and I do my best to help people get through some challenges. And if it's beyond my scope, then I refer it out.
Wow. Thank you. And I'd love to learn what some of those tools are. Wow, fantastic, Eli. I'm going to be in contact with you.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. Leslie, how are you managing this?
So a couple of ways, actually. One, massive support. So my clients have full-time access to me. They can contact me anytime. I don't answer in the middle of the night, but they're welcome to unload their thoughts in a text to me, and I will respond in the morning, and they can count on that. So that's one way, just that support structure, right? They know me, they love me, they trust me, we're in a relationship together, and they know that that I'm going to be there to love them and support them through that, whatever the struggle is. So that's one thing. There's something else, though, just a little bit further than that, and one of my favorite stories that Deepak Chopra shares is about a woman that goes into an emergency room with her children, and the doctors say, oh, you have like something going on in the gut. We think it's appendicitis, and so we're going to, go in, and it could have something to do with the gallbladder, and I'll try to make this short. Anyway, long story short, they do surgery. They open her up, and the whole abdominal cavity is full of cancer. And so they sew her right back up, and they don't do anything. And they go out, they tell the kids, while she's in recovery, what's going on. And the kids beg the doctor, please, please, please do not tell our mom that she has cancer, because she'll die tomorrow. Like, she won't be able to handle it. So the doctor reluctantly says, okay, and he doesn't tell her. And 6 months later, she comes back, and the doctor says, how are you feeling? She's like, I've never felt better. It's so good. I mean, since you fixed me in surgery and what you did, and taking my appendix out and everything that you did, I feel great. And he's like, that's really great. We'd like to do some CT scans to see if you're healing okay. They do a CT scan. She has no cancer in her body. And so it's the power of the belief system, right? It's what we believe, we become. If we believe we are sick, we will stay sick, right? So I talk a lot about with my clients about the sick mindset. You are focusing your attention on your sickness. You're trying to micromanage it. You're trying to macromanage your doctors, your emotions. You're doing all the things, but you're not connecting to healing because you're focused on being sick. So I want to change the scope and change the lens, and let's look at the tools for healing. And so, implementing those. And of course, mindset is a huge piece of that. So we use all kinds of strategies. We use repetitive strategies so that they are connecting to what their desires are. To speak to Jeanette's point about, what do you want to happen? I know, and your doctor knows, and we all know what should happen, and I know that you don't want cancer, but what are the foundational posts of that, right? Like, what are the pillars underneath that are going to take you from having cancer to not having cancer anymore? And so we focus our attention on that, and we repeat it. It's something that it's a document that they create on their own that I guide them through, and they repeat it on a daily basis. They tell themselves every single day, and they joke, that they're brainwashing themselves, but they are, and they're washing out the crap. and they're putting in the components of healing and what it means for them. I can't tell you how to heal. I can only guide you on that path to discover it for yourself. So most women come to me for nutrition because I am a certified holistic nutritionist. I'm a plant-based chef. I have all types of crazy certifications for this, and so really educated myself. So they come in typically for teach me how to do the nutrition thing and how to get in my kitchen and how to make it work. And every single time we have a week 8 call, that's a one-on-one call with me, they will say, I came to learn about nutrition, but what I have left with is a new mindset, is a new appreciation for healing and what takes us there. So for me, it is truly about helping them connect to that origin and why it's important to them. And then the last thing I want to say is that I firmly believe it's really important that we slow our mind down on a daily basis. If we're not taking time, whether you call it prayer or meditation or whatever you want to call it, if you're not taking the time to do a brain dump in a journal or just, in the quiet or with music or however you want to do it, you'll never get through the fog of all of this because there's just too much. We're overwhelmed when this happens. And so I encourage them to slow their mind down on a daily basis, and I let them choose the tool that is appropriate for them, to help them through that process. So, for me, it's all about strategies and making it practical and accessible and making them want to do it because they get results, right? So we're very results oriented all along the path when they're coaching with me. So yeah.
Well, I would like to get back to you on what some of those strategies are. Thank you. And maybe we can have you come back and just talk on some of those strategies. That would be a super idea, right, Carl?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Natalie, for you.
Okay, can you hear me better now? Or is still low?
No, you're a little bit better. Yep.
Yes, just a little bit.
Yeah, lean into the mic maybe.
Okay, how about this? Is it louder? Okay. So I have different style and different approach than a few of you, because my clients are in many countries. I help Thai people not just only in Thailand. They are all over the world. So I created an online platform that people can learn by creating these 12 steps to heal, either integrative with conventional treatments or to heal naturally. They make their own decision. So I focus on the spiritual side. Number one that I teach in my class, or when you do one-on-one with me or group coaching, I help them to find what exactly the root cause. Why did you get cancer? That's number one I have to ask. And if you come to me and talk to me, consult me one-on-one, I have to listen to them, what exactly eating them. Just like what I remember what I learned, and I remember every time from BeatCancer.Org. Don't tell them what to eat. Ask them what is eating them first. So that's my number one. Have to find out what actually is killing them and eating them. Either relationship or the job or their lifestyle or what actually missing in their life. And once we find a root cause, then we can start walking them through these 12 steps, how to heal by themselves, by giving them power. They have to have the power by themselves. And my job is just showing them those steps, how they can be themselves again and have confidence. So once they have the confidence, everything is just getting easier. So that's actually the simple 12 steps. And each step, I will break it down. One of the example. So if we talk about the emotional issue, right? So once they know what actually is the root cause on the emotional side, so we just have to really work on that. I don't want to get really too specific here, but once they found that, okay, maybe some quick example, like when they're young, I have one client. She was 74 years old when she come to me. And we had a group coaching, small group of 5 people. She had lung cancer. And she didn't want to go through chemotherapy, and actually she couldn't. The doctor said there's no point to do chemotherapy and no surgery because she had many tumors on her lungs, and it spread to both lungs. And she's 74. She said, I don't want to go through that. And then we set out in a group. We discussed about what is actually emotional root cause, and then she found that something is holding inside her since young. She hates her father because her father left her since young. So every time when they have children day in Thailand, all these kids have father come to school. She never had one. So this is what is killing her since young. So she tried to forget about it by doing everything in her life, forcing her husband to do what she wants him to do, and everyone surrounded her has to really do what she said. she's trying to hide that feeling. So once she found that, okay, that missing father is actually is her stress, her emotional stress. So I asked her just to go back and think about if you were your father that time, why he did that. He must have some good reason. So she has to forgive him and forgive herself. So there's a process of, forgiveness, right? So once she completely forgive herself, forgive her father, she felt like, oh my God, her chest, her lung is light. And her tumor it's getting better, it's shrinking. And that's along with I'm helping my clients to find out what actually causing even inflammation on a physical side. So I believe that we do these 3 strategies, mind, body, and spirit, and people can heal. So I focus on the mind and the spiritual side because they have to connect to their spiritual side. They have to know themselves. They have to know, basically you have to know who you are. Once you know who you are, you know that you have the power. You have everything you need to heal. You just don't have confidence. Once you have confidence and trust yourself, everything will just come along and you can heal.
Wow, the power to heal.
Yes.
The power to heal. And I do believe that we can heal ourselves. I truly believe that. And my mandate, as I'd already told you, is that knowledge is power and that we need to educate to advocate. Eli, where do you cross in that spectrum?
We still have Jeanette to answer.
Oh, I didn't know Jeanette. I'm sorry, Jeanette. I'll let you answer the last question, the previous question on psychosocial aspects and stress management.
Yeah. Okay. Which is a really big question. It's probably the question that all of us came into this business, came into this way of service, came into this wanting to help somebody else. And so, after taking BeatCancer's course and learning for the first time about psychoneuroimmunology, and then from there I learned a lot about biopsychosocial from Gabor Mate. I actually created this, it's a patent and trademark process, which is called the emotional immune system, which connects the two. And it allows not just our mindset to change, but when you have the courage to see differently through our mindset, the direct correlation that it has in our immune system, and this is something that is not medical, it is a novel approach, but it allows the client to be able to track their progression and their own feeling as they're able to have emotional regulation, nervous system regulation. And it's about choosing a healing mindset over anything else. And it's really the courage to want to see differently. And sometimes that awareness to even say, hey, I don't like the thoughts happening and I really desire to change it. It's the most powerful thing to do. And I just want to leave that pretty simple because everybody else covered it beautifully.
Thank you, Jeanette. And I absolutely agree that the immune system has a huge component in the immune system with being positive and emotionally being able to tap in all of those happy hormones. And some of the nicest research we have is on the ATF3 master switch and how stress is turning on that oncogene. And you know what? I think the emotional immune system really impacts on decreasing that stress and making huge changes in how we further our own cancer progress and how it impacts our journey across the board.
And I think And I think it's so interesting that there was no term emotional immune system until I invented it. And it kind of shocked me. It shocked me to my core that it was not connected yet as a medical and novel term. I am working with some universities to bring this process forward, but it just shocked me that why couldn't it be connected? Because when we hit emotional lows, it lowers our immune system. When we hit emotional lows, it lowers our immune system by 60%, and the people around us and the family that love and care for us up to 40% for up to 2 to 7 years.
Well, this is a new component for me, and I can't help but absolutely, totally agree with you 100%. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. So let's go to the next question is knowledge is power and educate to advocate. How does it impact your practice? Eli.
Well, first, I'd like to say, Jeanette, I'm so glad that you brought that point about the immune system and how it's affected by our mindset and our emotions. It's so powerful. I've looked at some research that I haven't discovered, but I felt it in my own way, in my own life. When I connect to something I absolutely love to do, it almost feels like my immune system says, yes, for this, we're going to rally for this. And all of a sudden, wow, right? We start feeling better. So I find that topic so fascinating. So I love your term of emotional immunity. I think that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So answer this question about knowledge is power and educating. In traditional coaching, we're taught to ask leading questions to empower our clients to find their own answers. So I found, because I was trained in that before I became a holistic cancer coach, there's so much in the cancer world that is so overwhelming, right? All the knowledge. So where do we draw the line between traditional coaching and then becoming like a mentor or an educator? So how do we impart knowledge without doing it for our clients? Because it's so important, like everyone else has mentioned, to empower our clients to find their own answers. So we don't want to do it for them. And also, I have found a lot of times that cancer patients just don't have the bandwidth to do all that research, when it comes to their own cancer. So I often end up speaking about this with a cancer patient's caregiver, because they have a little bit more energy, a little bit more focus. But what I do end up spending some time in educating is what we've all talked about these strategies or mechanisms for mindset, healthy mindset, and emotions. And the other piece of the pie, besides conventional medicine, what other physical things are available that you might not even know that exist, right? We don't know what we don't know, and often in that realm, that's where the answers are. And the emotional component, the spiritual component, the relational component, that's new for most of the clients that I deal with. It's like I didn't know that was affecting me. And as we received in our training, cancer is a multifactorial result. Something is off balance someplace, and it's showing up as cancer in our body. So what are the factors affecting our life? In our particular situation, we're all totally different. So that's, I think, where the education that I can impart on someone that can be enlightening. A lot of the other, like cancer stuff, like I said before, I'm not an oncologist, so I can do some research to get some basic understanding of their particular situation. But I can't play oncologist, but I can help you find your own answers in dealing with some of the things that arise along the journey. And that empowerment, I think, is where healing lies, in really taking the bull by the horns, figuring out what hasn't been working in our life, and what direction do I want to take, what am I passionate about. And as we say in the course, it's not so much about focusing on the cancer, it's focusing on the person who's experiencing that imbalance called cancer. So that's the beautiful part, and that's where I get really, really excited, because that's where the juicy stuff is. Now, I think where, like Nancy said, not everyone is willing to go there. It can be scary for some people. So part of the challenge is slowly, little by little, helping them see the potential of possibilities, so that, and then all of a sudden, once they get into it, they're like, whoa, they get all excited. So that's, I think, at least that's how I see my role, educating that part of it.
Well, you're already empowering me. Thank you so much, Eli. Leslie.
So for me, I spent some time with this question because I was curious about where I did stand. You challenged me a little bit because I was like, where do I stand in this, between these two things? And I truly believe that one of the things, and I think this is where coaching has failed me in the past, because coaches need coaches, and so I have business coaches, and I have spiritual coaches, and I even have health coaches. I mean, I have people that help me keep my cup full so that I can pour out in such an amazing way and not feel completely drained, right? Because we have to look after ourselves. And we have to pay attention to who we are and make sure that we're maintaining that and not losing it in our, coaching, whatever it is, world or, persona that we have. So I have coaches too. And I think where I've been failed in the past with coaching or felt disappointed, maybe not even failed because everything's a lesson, right? So, but where it's disappointed me in the past is when the information is not accessible. Right? So when I am told something and I'm like, huh? And it creates more question marks instead of pulling down question marks. Not that we don't challenge our clients, not that we don't try to move them forward, not that we don't, but it has to be accessible. And here's the thing, we have to stay within their wheelhouse, right? So if I have somebody that comes to me who's not a super spiritual person, I can't drill in, you got to be spiritual, you got to do this, you got to do that, because all of a sudden they have set themselves up for failure. Well, if I'm not that, then I can't get this, right? So because of the access that my clients have to me, I'm able to build a relationship with them under the umbrella of, hey, I know you as a human being. I know you as a whole person, right? So I'm a holistic cancer coach. So I think about the whole you and not just the cancer you, not just the cancer patient you. Although that's how you got to me, but we think about all of you and all of your health. It's just making that information accessible to them, keeping them engaged with it, and teaching them how, and actually inspiring them to think different about. Maybe they're having a thought that is just so radical, and they've built this huge story, because our minds are these beautiful architects of stories. It's why Eli can write an entire beautiful play about his journey, because his brain architected this beautiful story and he knew how to tell it back out. But we do that too when we're in crisis, right? So we hear something and then everything else is wah, 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 right? It's the Charlie Brown teacher, so we only hear part of it, and then our brain goes to work on that, and it's like, oh my gosh, this doctor said X, Y, Z, and that's all you can hear, right? And to Jeanette's point, Dana-Farber did a study that said, once a person hears the word cancer and their name, that their immune function can drop by 50%. So, and then everything clicks off, right? Your brain clicks off, everything clicks off, emergency mode, adrenal glands are like, na, 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 right? And so when they come to you in that state, you must think about making the information accessible in the moment and in the state that they're in, right? At any stage, at any point of their diagnosis or any thought that they're having about what's happening to them. I have a woman that her name is Mel. She came to work with me. In fact, she enrolled while we were in this. If you saw me a little distracted, it's because she was texting me. She enrolled while we were on this call. We had a conversation yesterday and today about her coming to work with me. And Mel she's dying. She's not, but in her being, she's dying. This cancer is killing her. She's far from it, but that's the belief system. And so she's come to me to work with that. Well, I can't go right to Mel and go, okay, so here are the things that you need to do to get out of the, and eat this and do that, because she's going to be like, wait a second, I'm dying. So we have to work in a methodical, very structured way and make this accessible to her so that she can bite off chunks that make sense, that where she's like, oh, okay, I get that, right? So it's that old saying, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time, and so and making that work for her and strategizing with her so that she doesn't ever feel an overwhelm. Because for me, too much education, too much information, too much coming at you puts us in overwhelm, and we all know as coaches that overwhelm is not a healing environment, is not a healing emotion. So we as coaches, as Sherpas, to use Eli's term, as Sherpas, we must be ready to bear some of that burden and to see it, and to see where they're struggling, and to help them through dialogue and connection. So for me, education, absolutely, but even more than that, just making it accessible to them in the way that they need it and the timing that they need it. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Natalie.
Well, for me, I think knowledge is just potential power. We have to transform knowledge into an action, and that's become the true power. I found that a lot of cancer patients, they know it. They don't take action. They just know it. So that's why I call it knowledge is just potential power, because you know it. You don't do anything with your knowledge. It's not going to be useful. It's just like reading a book, and then you read it and you put it down. You don't do anything with that, and nothing's going to happen. They're not going to heal. So what I did, I created this platform to help them by providing knowledge. The first thing, I know knowledge is very important. And everybody, all my clients said the same thing. Oh, I didn't know there's such a thing. I didn't know this exists. I didn't know how to boost my immune system. I don't know these herbs. I don't know that juicing is good for me. I didn't know this food causing inflammation. They just like, oh, okay, now I know. Okay, but now how can I do it? So if they have knowledge, but I put all together, I give you example, all these books on my shelf here, I pick like top information from these books and put into my class. So I focus on Gerson therapy because a lot of people healed by Gerson therapy. And that's not enough, because not everybody can follow Gerson therapy. So I also add some supplements, some herbs that you can take it along with the chemotherapy by taking information from this book example. And all of these books all together, I provide them, make it easy for access, because people go to many platforms, many sources, and they get confused. They don't know who to trust. I don't know, is that true? Is it right? Is it good for me? So I put all this together and then teach them how to trust themselves, how to actually pick what is the right choice for them. Basically, I provide them knowledge, options, choices, then make them transform themselves too. Take the action, trust themselves, then knowledge. Once you transform, and then it's so powerful. I just want to put it simple as that.
Wow. Yeah, you guys are fantastic. I've learned so much in just a short period of time. Jeanette, I think this is probably, we're getting close to having, are we at an hour yet, Carla? We got 7 minutes? Okay. Jeanette, can we leave that this last question with you then?
Can you repeat the question?
I can't even remember what. It was my mandate, as you know, is knowledge is power and educate to advocate. And where do you see yourself fitting in the spectrum with knowledge and education and how is it impacting your practice?
Okay, thank you so much. I wanted to make sure I got that clear. So, I mean, when it comes to both of those, I wouldn't say subscribe to either one or the other. And the reason, because if I was to subscribe to be on one side of the spectrum or even the other side of the spectrum, it would create limitations for my practice, limitations on what my client. So if I had to connect to a mandate, it's peace, and from peace comes power. So whether my client wants knowledge, I would ask them, what level of knowledge would bring you peace? If they want advocate, what level of support in order to advocate would bring you peace? And if they're looking for education, the same question goes. So if I had to, connect to one and really be nailed to one, it would be from peace comes power, and everything else is possible. All of the avenues and the things that you recommended.
And I think allowing the clients to choose, and make a decision. 100%. Yeah, and that participatory participation, I guess you could say, letting them choose.
Yeah, because if I didn't, or if we all didn't, we become those absolute coaches that are just shoving things down the ears,
Carl, I'm going to let you finish up with some final comments. I know you've been sitting back taking notes and listening.
I've been texting back and forth people. It's been a pretty active call tonight for me. I keep shutting off the camera so I don't look like I'm not paying attention, but I actually am. It was so wonderful to have everybody on, and I was watching the coaches that I could see on the camera. I think you all ran out of ink taking notes while the others were speaking. It was great to see that, and I don't know if everybody knows, but there is a place for the coaches to congregate on Facebook. It's the best platform that we have right now. It's not the greatest platform in the world, but it's a great place for coaches to be talking with coaches privately and learn from each other. And I just love this whole this community thing that we're doing right now, and everybody feeding off each other's energy. I think that's wonderful, and taking notes about what the other person said. I just love it. I wish we could do this all the time in bigger forums, and I wish we had more time. We didn't even get to the last question, and we're already 25 minutes over. But we do have to have a hard stop at 8:30, so I want to give the other people a chance to set their show up. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I feel so privileged to have you all as wonderful coaches, and just seeing how much you've grown since I've known you. It's just great. It makes me feel proud that the organization is here and that we're available to find more extraordinary people like you. You're all extraordinary, and I just love you.
And I can say as a nurse, and I've only been a cancer coach for a year, that everything you have said tonight is going to impact and change how I coach as well. So I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to hear what you have to say. Thank you for sharing. I know our clients will come back and look at you, and will look at coaching on a totally different light, and will inspire us for years to come. And I can hardly wait to hear the recording of this, because I couldn't get it all down into my notes. And I thank each and every one of you for all your contributions. They've been so positive, so warm, and right on the mark. They've impacted how I'm going to practice. So thank you.
Good show, Carl.
All right, thank you, Forrest.
Thank you.
I know we got a hard
so
stop.
much, everyone.
Yeah, we get ready to start our next show.
Everybody.
All right, bye now.
Bye. Goodbye.
Okay.